Time for some action. One of my favorite, actually, when I say this, I think emphatically, I want to tell every single one of you, and I want to put it down right now so everyone hears me. Redman is the greatest MC of all time. When I say this, this is mine. People talk about hip hop and they talk about their favorite MC of all time. For me, it's not even a question. I believe Redman is the greatest. I mean, he's one of the baddest lyricists. He just lets his personality go. He's hilarious. If you didn't get a chance to see MTV Cribs when Redman was on and he was talking about his apartment, it was a 2-bedroom apartment, and he wasn't about fronting and making all the, talking about his cars and everything like that. It was just his 2-bedroom apartment, and he was real as can be. And he has a song called Time for Some Action. And that's what hit me the last couple of days was, imagine all the theory that we have when we talk about wisdom, which we do here on Inchstones. If you're tuning in for the first time, I want to welcome you. We go through 3,000-year-old wisdom and see how it can apply to today. When I look at this wisdom, one of the toughest things that we'll ever do is just add action to the things that we already know. Does every program that you could possibly buy work? Yes, if you do it. You got to add action to it. And so when I look at this, it said, when we add action to our commitments, as my pops would always say, then we're cooking with gas, boy. When we add action to our commitments. Last episode, we talked about commitment eliminates options. Imagine if there was no option at all and you just committed. Well, once you commit, it cuts off all the rest of the options. Imagine if there was no option, what could you do? Could you do the things that you wanted to do? That business that you wanted to start, the next task, the redesigning a room, or spending more time with your kids. If you had no option, yes, you could. And I've been through these times where I remember when my pops, when he got sick, it eliminated the options. Like there was no option but to do certain things. And I tell you, the power of the mind, the power of the heart, it really kicks into gear when there's no option. But watch this. When we take our commitments and then we add action to them, that's when my pops would say, boy, now we're cooking with gas. See, in Proverbs 3, it charges us to trust, lean, submit, and he will take care of everything else. Let me say it again. Trust, lean, submit, and he will take care of everything else. But that trust, we have to add action to it by leaning, and that leaning then will submit, and he will make our paths straight. So why don't we jump into Proverbs 3 and get this party started?
Nothing more on my mind. I got to shine, so every day I grind. Work in the morning, work in the evening. We's achieving, cause we believing. It's for certain, we put the work in. We ain't stopped just because it's hurting. Right before your eyes, so it's coming to no surprise. The takeover is televised. Over and over and over again. Make no mistake, we continue to win. Defeat never known, cause I will not lose. They wanna mimic my moves, but can't walk in my shoes.
What if we added action? What if we added action to our commitments? What if we committed to something that cut off all the other options, but then we added action to it? Just one little thing. It's amazing because we're actually, I'm leading a coaching session for the next month with some people from the Your Legacy Hair Summit, which was absolutely phenomenal. Got a chance to be able to do a keynote there. And I wanted to add a little bit more to the people. So we're going through the next month and we're doing this coaching. I'm doing this coaching with them. It's one to many, but I'm spending time with them. And what I did is I gave each one of them an actionable item. I want to give you guys an actionable item tonight is I want to have you, I want to challenge you, right? And I want to challenge you to read Proverbs 3. It's very simple. As far as verses, let me check and see how many verses we've got. I think there's only 35 verses. It should take you maybe 5 minutes. Just read it. That's what I'm going to charge you to do. It'll take you 5 minutes, 35 verses. Read it. Just put it down. Don't even try and do anything, but just add that action to what it is that we're doing. when you take your commitments and you add action to them, it's unbelievable what can happen. My son right now, Maddox, I'm so proud of him. The kid is an unreal kid. He added some action recently. He said, "Hey, Dad, I want to feel better. My body, I want it to look better. I want to feel more confident." I said, "Okay, cool. Well, what do you want to do?" And so he started working out with his friend. He's 13 years old. He started working out with his friend, and then he said, "I want to eat some chicken and I want to eat some rice." So he knows how to cook the chicken. We went and got it. He did that. He did the rice. He did the vegetables, and he's doing it. And then he asked me, he said, "Pops, is it okay to have an ice cream cone tonight?" And I looked at him. He's like, "Tell me yes or no." And I said, "No. I mean, because you committed to something, let's add action to it." Right? And so in Proverbs 3, for me, it means so much. A little side note too. I want to tell my wife that I absolutely love her. She's the hardest working woman in showbiz. She's doing a photo shoot right now, a video shoot, actually. It's exactly what she dreamed about. 5 years ago, actually, we were on a dog walk. She asked me what I wanted to do. I said, "I want to start a podcast and I would just want to speak. That's all I want to do." And she said, "Well, why don't we just go do it?" And I said, "Well, what do you want to do when you grow up?" And she said, "Well, I just want to do weddings. I want to do video and photo shoots. And I want to work with this one specific lady named Lucy Dowdy. I want to work with her more and I want to become her go-to." And guess where she's at right now? She's doing a video shoot with Lucy Dowdy and video and photo shoot with her. And you know what? Lucy reached out to Brooke and she wants to make sure that Brooke is there because Brooke makes her look amazing. So I want to just tell my wife, I'm very proud of you. I love you. And you added action to that commitment. When we add action to it, just add one little tiny thing. Don't try and, change your whole world. Just one little actionable item today. And you do this over and over and over again. It's exactly what Inchstones is. An Inchstone is just a very, very small little thing that you can do and then celebrate it and then pile them up and they become the milestones in our lives, right? Proverbs 3, probably one of my favorite Proverbs. The reason why is because my pops would say this to me all the time. He would say, "Trust in the Lord with all your heart. Lean not to your own understanding. Submit to him in all your ways, and he will make your path straight." He would say this to me over and over and over and over and over again. But what he did is he would show me through action that he would do it. It's incredible too, because my mom wouldn't say that verse as much. She would just live it. She added action to it. She didn't have to add the words. She just added action to that. Trust in the Lord with all your heart. Lean not to your own understanding. Submit to him in all your ways. Submit to him in all your ways, and he will make your path straight. Trust, lean, submit, and he will make it straight. And when we're looking at this, the only action for us, that action is to trust, to step out. And it blows me away. It makes my heart so warm and filled up because my pops, I don't get to spend any time with him anymore. Physically, I get to spend time with him in my heart and in my mind. But every time that I think about him, he just lifts me up. And this Proverbs 3 is just so special to me. So let's dive into it in verse 1 and 2 and verse 21 through 26. Fill up your heart with truth. This is a very simple concept, but how can we add action to that concept? Fill up your heart with truth. What is truth? Well, I encourage my coaching group that I'm working with for the next month. It's a closed group, but I encourage them to seek out wisdom. And wisdom is the right use of knowledge, and wisdom comes from the fear of God. Now, I encourage them, though. I want them to store up wisdom, but I said, just choose anything that you want to read. For 5 minutes, just read something that's wisdom. But be conscious of the wisdom that you read and make sure that it's principle-based and not circumstantial-based. There's some business books that you'll read that will tell you how to get through a certain circumstance that you're going through today. But wisdom will show you how no matter what circumstance you enter, you'll be able to lay into those principles and apply those principles no matter where you're at. And when I say this and it's not just a fluffy kind of scenario, I've used this to be able to build our company. When we had salons all over the country, we did this. We built people. This is a principle. We built people. How did we do that? We spoke life into them, encouraged them, asked them questions. and expected the greatest out of them. And what happened was we built the people, and then the people built the business. That's a principle that can be used in any business. What we also did was we encouraged people to innovate, which was just to go out and try something new. And when you tried something new, if it didn't work out, then you wrote it down. And then we systemized it and it became our rules and regulations, because your rules and regulations are nothing more than a list of your screw-ups. So when we did that, we encouraged people to innovate or just try new stuff, as long as you were willing to. If it didn't work, you wrote it down, so we didn't do it again. If it did work, we wrote it down and we celebrated it, and we did it publicly. And what that did is it caused people to adapt immediately. So the culture was constantly alive and it was constantly moving. And the reason why was because we were constantly looking at the productivity. We were looking at the efficiencies and we were breaking those things down. But where did that all come from? It came from wisdom that had action applied to it. So when we go on to verse 3 and 4, love and faithfulness are universal tools. Love and faithfulness. When you're faithful to something, you tell the truth. Watch this. Love and data. Love and data. This is a thing that we worked with in our company, and this is a thing that you could take. And when you're building a culture, building a human being, some people say, "Oh no, just all love, all love, all love." No, love and data. Love and data adds action to that love. When you love somebody and you give them data, like my son, he said, "Dad, can I just have one little ice cream?" Well, I'll give you love, but I'll also give you data. The data is that yesterday you told me that you only wanted to eat chicken and rice and you wanted to be able to make your body look a little bit different. So we're going to add action to that today, son. So I'm going to love you because I love you 100% unconditionally, but also we are going to add action to that by giving you some data. Love and faithfulness, you can add that in, love and data. Those are universal tools that will work in any single thing. And so when we go through here in verse 5 and 6, watch this: trust, lean, submit, and your path will be straight. I tell you, this is one of the most universal principles that you could ever even imagine. And let's look at this in a relationship. Let's look at this in your relationship with your kids. Proverbs 3, verse 5 and 6, one of my very, very good friends, Damian Horn, one of the baddest musicians on the planet. If you haven't listened to him, you got to go and do it. He is unbelievable. But it's one of his favorite verses also. And when my pops used to say this all the time: trust in the Lord with all your heart, lean not to your own understanding, submit to him in all your ways, and he will make your path straight. Like, think of that, like trust. Like, if you don't trust, you can't lean. If you don't lean, you can't submit. If you don't submit, your paths won't be straight. If your paths aren't straight, you have not submitted, but you haven't submitted because you haven't leaned, and you can't lean unless you trust first. So trust, add that action right now, right here, as quickly as humanly possible, and you'll start to see those results. It is like, these things, again, blow my mind when I read them, because I wish that I would have started to understand some of the things that my pops and my mom laid into me early on at an even earlier age. I was very fortunate because I had two parents that were constantly just directing my eyes to the Lord. Frustrating at times, frustrating when I was a young kid, but now I look at it and literally, there's no situation, whether it be personally, professionally, spiritually, or financially, there's no situation that can't be solved by applying wisdom to it and trusting in God, leaning on him and submitting to him in all my ways, and he will make the path straight. And then that way I don't have to work on like who I am. I just have to just lay into who he is. And that gives me freedom, gives you freedom to walk exactly in who you're supposed to be. In verse 7 and 8, watch this: wisdom transcends all clever thoughts. In verse 13 through 20, it reiterates this. And let me say it again. Wisdom transcends all clever thoughts. We all have clever thoughts on how we're going to do this and how we're going to do that. And I fall victim to this. And what God is saying is that wisdom transcends all of that because it's principle-based, not just circumstantial-based. I invite you, read Proverbs 3. I tell you, it is a wealth wealth of wisdom. And when you sit in it and you start reading the word, it start reading you back, which I think is amazing. In verse 9 and 10, honor God with your wealth. This is a principle, again, that when you apply action to this, that you honor him with your wealth. I tell you, like my pops told me, there's no financial challenges. There's just giving challenges. And I said, what do you mean? He said, because when you start giving back a portion of what it is that you have earned, which was a gift to you from God, and you start honoring him with your wealth, you won't have any financial challenges. Principle, right? In verse 11 and 12, invite God's discipline. This is one of the toughest things that you'll ever do, is invite God's discipline, because I tell you, discipline feels a lot better when you invite it than when it actually happens. In verse 27 and 28, be generous with all your gifts. Whatever gifts you have, go give them away. People ask me as far as, why do I do the podcast? Why am I doing this? And they didn't understand it 5 years ago. It's amazing, though, because, our presidential election, whether you're on one side or the other, it was decided because of this medium that we're doing right here, right now, which is podcasting. 5 years ago, when I started in doing it, people were like, what is that? I don't even understand. Why are you even doing that? Because it's a gift that I have, and I want to give it away to every single person possible. And then God put on my heart, and January 6th, this last year in 2024, he said, I just want you doing Inchstones, which is Proverbs. Do the corresponding proverb, corresponding day. Give that away. Go give it away. In verse 29 and 31, or through 31, do what is right, just, and fair. When you add action to something, do what is right, just, and fair. And how will you know that circumstance, in that circumstance, how to act and do what is right, just, and fair? The only way is through wisdom. And where will we get wisdom? For the fear of God. How will we get that? By spending time with him. It's amazing how he always brings it back around and just says, you know what? I just want you to spend time with me. If you spend time with me, you'll start to trust me. You'll start to lean on me. You'll start to submit to me. And then I will make your path straight. Right? Pop, I love you. Thank you so much for hearing me, imparting all this as much as possible. In verse 32 through 35, he lists out all the things that just says this: you don't want that smoke. Like, this is what God was saying to me the other day, is like, read this, son. These are all the things that will happen if you don't add action to the wisdom that I'm giving you. You don't add action and choose wisdom. If you don't choose wisdom and add action to it, you don't want that smoke, because these are all the things that will happen. And when you list it off and you read it in verse 32 through 35, you don't want that smoke. You don't want any of that. And what God is saying is, like, I know that you don't want it, because it's not going to be good for you. What you do want is just my love, my peace, my grace, my joy. And that is free. When I think of my pops and he says, boy, now we're cooking with gas. But it requires us to seek wisdom and then apply it in all areas of our lives, personally, professionally, spiritually, and financially. And so my question to you is, what area of your life tonight could use some wisdom that is applied? The actionable item that I asked you to do tonight is stop whatever you're doing, and I want you to read wherever you're at. Like, I don't care what version. I don't read it from a religion standpoint, anything like that. I just want you to crack Proverbs open, read Proverbs 3, read down the line, just read it, and then just put it away. That's the action that I want you to do. And when you're done with that, I want you to write out 3 things that you took from it. And what I would do is I'd list off what verse it came from. So what hit you in the heart? What verse hit you in the heart? What did it make you think of? And how could you add action to the thing that hit you in the heart, made you think of something, and you add action to it tomorrow? See, when your heart, your mind, and your skills are in line, it creates an irresistible vibe. Bang, bang, biggity, bang. I want to thank all of you for tuning in. This is another episode of Inchstones. We're actually doing back-to-back, so stick with us. We're actually doing another episode that's coming up right after this, which I'm so happy and so honored that all of you are here. Subscribe, like, share with anyone and everyone that you possibly can. Make sure you drop us a comment, too. It means the world. My name is Kelly Cardenas, and I'm officially off the hot seat. Peace, love, and soul.
Nothing more on my mind. I got to shine, so every day I grind. Work in the morning, work in the evening. We's achieving, cause we believing. It's for certain, we put the work in. We ain't stopped just because it's hurting. Right before your eyes, so it's coming to no surprise. The takeover is televised. Over and over and over again.